The title of our press statement is that the government must pay for the loss of life and damage to churches and their property. The National Council of Churches of Kenya has followed with growing trepidation the ever-increasing attacks on Christians and churches. The violence appears to be well-planned, premeditated, and systematic. In the last 5 months alone, 11 churches have been attacked, while attempts were made on others. Christians have been killed, injured, or maimed for life. We see this as an intentional provocation of Christians to retaliate. We thank Christians for the restraint and sobriety they have demonstrated in the face of sustained attacks. We appeal to religious leaders and Christians to continue to exercise the same restraint and seek for peaceful and legal means of resolving our grievances. The government of Kenya has an obligation to protect life and property of all Kenyans as enshrined in the Constitution and international law. It has clearly failed to fulfill this mandate. What is clear is that peace in this country is about appeasing the angry rather than protecting the innocent. The National Council of Churches of Kenya has on her part decided to seek justice for the victims of this wave of violence. Consequently, we have instructed a team of lawyers to sue the government in court to seek compensation for the loss of life and destruction of churches and property. The government bears full responsibility for the violation of the human rights and fundamental freedoms of the victims who are under its care. Further, we have keenly observed the security-related developments in the country. The violence that has happened in the last 1 month in different parts of the country is without doubt premeditated, planned, and systematic. The resultant murder, looting, arson, and forcible displacement of hundreds of Kenyans are indicative of crimes against humanity as defined by the Rome Statute and the Kenya International Crimes Act. As Kenya prepares for the general elections in early March 2013, the violence is likely to escalate, presenting a major humanitarian crisis, a reality that the government of Kenya is either unwilling or unable to face up to. In this regard, the NCCK will open communication with the International Criminal Court requesting the Office of the Prosecutor to consider opening preliminary and continuing investigations on the situation in Kenya with a view to pinning down and charging the perpetrators who hide behind the youths to unleash mayhem. We also urge all Kenyans whose rights are violated to avoid violent reactions and retaliations, and in light of the new constitutional dispensation, seek justice in our courts. We must all contribute to making our nation civil. Our prayer remains that God will bless all Kenyans as we often pray through our national anthem, O God of all creation, bless this our land and nation, justice be our shield and defender, may we dwell in unity, peace and liberty, plenty be found within our borders. Signed on this 29th day of August 2012 at Jumuiya Place, Nairobi, by Reverend Canon Peter Karanja, the General Secretary.
Thank you so much. In relation to Mombasa, what role do you think religious leaders can play to try and restore calm?
I maintain that the situation in Mombasa isn't one that requires religious leaders to play a role to restore calm. Muslims have disowned the hooligans that are burning and vandalizing churches and injuring Christians and say those are thugs. Government just has a responsibility to maintain law and order. And if thugs are out, it's not a matter of negotiation. It's a matter of enforcement of the law. This government waits too long before taking decisive action when the law is being violated. And that is what causes many Kenyans to turn and take the law into their own hands. Because if the people charged with the protection of Kenyans fail to carry out their duty, the options that seem left include personal self-defense. And that's why NCCK says, let Kenyans be restrained, but let us embrace a culture of seeking redress in a legal mechanism by going to the courts. And thank God the courts are vindicating themselves and showing that they are quite able to dispense justice. If Kenyans surrender their rights to defend themselves to government and give government constitutional authority to even use violent means to maintain law and order, it is a shame for Kenyans to ever have to defend themselves because the government has failed to defend them. Having said that, we appeal for religious calm by the religious leaders both from the Christian church and the Muslim community, and increasing discussions and dialogue between them, first to lower temperatures because of the perceptions which may actually be wrong, but also to nurture good coexistence, because Kenya belongs to all of us and there is enough space for everyone.
Thank you so much.